Welcome to the course on Canva. Canva is a very powerful graphic illustration tool. You can create images, videos, presentations, docs, files, all your content for social media, and so much more. We're going to go through all the main features to get you started. So these are the Canva prices. If you're going for the monthly plan, you're definitely going to probably be on the pro plan for sure. So $15 a month. Then if you're on the yearly plan, then it'll come out to about $10 per month. And this is per user. So if you have a team, just be aware of that. Once you create an account, now I do have a pro paid plan. So everything I'm going to be showing you, I have the pro plan just to let you know. It's going to be worth it anyways. So on the left hand side is your main navigation. If you want to quickly create something, you could create here, and then you have all your different formats, and then you could type in right here, what are you trying to create? Is it a YouTube thumbnail? Oh, most likely that. Great. It's going to actually take you to a place where you're going to create a YouTube thumbnail from scratch. Or you can see all the templates. These are pre-made templates. That's the great thing about Canva, is the endless templates that it has. Very great there. And you can also see all the different formats here. Plus, if you want just a custom size, you could click on this, and then you could quickly see here, these are pretty much going to be the most common ones, which is like YouTube, which is like TikTok. These are your main formats, but you could enter a custom height. You can do 8.5 by 11 inches, create a design, or it's like, oh, I recognize that format. That's actually like a portrait resume. And you're like, yeah. So these are all the different ways to just create a design, but we'll come back to that. Home is the page that you're seeing right here, where you can see pretty much, you can search right here for things that you want. If I do Facebook, for example, it's going to come up with many different templates right here because it's on the template tab. But if you go to your designs, you can see, do you have any files that are labeled Facebook, which I do here. So these are my designs right here because I toggled, and you can see Facebook in the name of these files. So that's how the search feature works. Going back to the home right here, you can see any of your recent files that you've been working on right here. And then you could toggle, you could view it as a list just by clicking this button, or by actual low cards. And right here, you have the same options, if you notice here, as it is in Create right here. So you can quickly create a design using these options right here. Do you need a presentation, a document? So going now down to the project folder, this is where you can see all of your design assets, like folders. If you created folders are where you can organize images or videos or designs and just put them in a group. So for example, here I have a folder called webinar, and if you want to create a folder, you could click here, create a new folder, call it whatever you want. For a project, for example, click create, and now you have a new folder that will show up here. So if I refresh the screen, go to projects, click this back arrow, and there it is, test folder right there. So there's a new one. In it, you can have all sorts of stuff. Like here, I have presentations for webinars. So all of these are my webinars folders, for example. So you can see here, top 13 tools, AI presentation, when I talked about AI. So, and then when you click into it, you can see here, oh, here's an entire Canva presentation, which pretty much looks like exactly like PowerPoint. So projects are where you can see all your folders, your different designs, things that you've created. A design could be anything from an image to a presentation. For example, you can see all the images that you've created, and you can see all the videos that you've generated as well too, all nicely organized in your project folder. Next one down, which is templates. This is the real power of Canva, to be able to quickly find templates, whether you're creating a YouTube thumbnail. If I click on that, it will show me all of these pre-made YouTube thumbnails. I could also go back to templates and choose another one. These are presentations. Think of them like PowerPoint, slide decks, or pitch decks. They have many different options up here to filter to find the one that you like. Or I could do the breadcrumbs and go back to templates. So this goes on and on. Canva just has a ton of templates, which is really powerful. Now, since I'm in the paid version of Canva Pro, you can see here brand kits. This is where you can add your brand colors, for example. So like these are my brand colors. So if you click here, add new. So you could say brand kit demo or example, click create, because brand kit is going to allow you to access these resources or these templates on any projects that you're creating. So this is where you're setting what's your logo, the color palette, any specific font for any specific header, or from the text, for example, what's your brand voice? Do you have any photos, any graphics, any icons, any charts? So you can see here, I just have something real simple, which is just my brand colors. You could just add these like a hex color, and just add the code right there, for example. Let me actually get rid of that, close. You can add your logo and so forth. So all of this is in your brand kit that is accessible when you work on files. Canva AI. This is an actual AI generation tool to actually design things for you. For example, if you scroll down, you can see all sorts of examples from images to code to design to video. So I'm going to click on the first one, which is just image, which takes the prompt, create an image of a snowboard on a powder day, just like pops it in there. And now it will generate custom images for you. And then you can also see here the aspect ratio, for example. You can also see your credit usage and when it will reset right here. Notice how some tools, like they'll give you a credit or a token system based on your subscription, then you got to buy more. That's why I like Midjourney is great with the unlimited subscription for it. That's why when it comes to images and videos, you want to use tools that give you unlimited so you can iterate your way to success, because it's never going to be perfect the way you want it for one of these, for example. So we're going to say here, create a game exploring space. Let's actually put that in here. Create, and now we give it a prompt of create a game exploring space. And now what it's going to do, now if you notice, there's a lot of tools that do this. Basically, you have in Claude, this is basically called an artifact, where it's using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to actually write the code, and then it's going to render it just like a browser that loads a web page. Basically, it's actually going to write it in real time, which is wild. Claude Artifacts does this, GenSpark does this. So it took about 5 minutes to actually write the code for it. Sometimes you actually could see the code, which is, I know other ones you could toggle behind, but you can't see the code. So actually create a game. We're going to click begin. I'm using my arrows. I can't move. Oh, wait, there we go. There we go. Something. Oh, it definitely crashed. So it's not the best. Now, I'm not going to lie. Stuff like this where you're building apps, you're going to use a better tool. You're going to use Claude Artifacts. You're going to use GenSpark. You could even use Google Gemini, which is completely free, 2.5 Pro. So although this is nice to have, so that's where Canva's real bread and butter is, actually doing graphic design pretty much, for example. And then down below you have apps. Here you can see all sorts of apps. This is actually an app I really want to try, actually, because if you've used Canva before, you know about image generation is just 4 corners, but to be able to reshape things, like do this on a different plane, that's super interesting. So this is an app. We're going to try this out, use this in a existing design projects. I'll just pick anything, really doesn't matter. So I'm going to use this effect in here, and it's going to load it. So it loads it up in the shape. Here I can click on the image. There's the reshape tool. And now, oh, awesome. So then I could distort, drag the points. Oh, look at that, is cool. So now I could change it any way that I want. That's interesting. Command Z. I actually move it here and then click this. That's actually such a great, I've actually been looking for a tool like that, and it's actually inside of the App Store. So this is just one of the apps, and there's many different apps that can do all sorts of effects. AI generation, slides, music, voice, profile images. Like, there's a ton of rabbit hole. We'll go deeper into a feature course of all the different apps. This is just an introduction to get you started. So back to our home tab, let's actually create a YouTube thumbnail. Super simple. So I'm going to go to templates, and I'm just going to say YouTube thumbnail. And here is a huge library, and I'm not even going to think hard about it. I'm just going to take this one, for example. Just by clicking on it, it will show you this, plus it will show you other images that are kind of related to it. Cool. I'm not even going to think too hard. I'm just going to click customize. You can favorite this. You can also share this with someone. I'm going to click customize, because with Canva, this is the best thing, is just start with an existing example instead of a blank page, unless you know what you're doing. So that's where we can dissect this and actually learn a lot of like how this is built. So we could break this part into basically layers of creating a YouTube thumbnail, and we'll make a change and and we'll put my face or your face in the middle of it, for example. So everything that you see here, each of these, we'll call these elements, from the text, the images, the image, the text. These are all elements. All your elements are stored right here in this folder right here. So when you click on this, these are all the different elements that you could create, and you could just start typing them in. So I need an image of a house. So I'm in elements, and then I type house. Let's see if we can find this house, for example. And then there's different types. It says graphics, photos, frames, but notice how that also repeats here: graphics, photos, frames. So these headers right here are the same ones here, just so you're aware. And then you could keep going. You're like, okay, what type is it? Do you want an image? This mostly looks like a graphic, it's not a real photo, so I'm going to click graphic. If I scroll, these are all different images that you could click on to actually drag and drop in. And let's say I found the exact house. I'm not even going to try and find it. I'm just going to click and drag. And that's how you can add, by click and dragging, an element onto your page. Nice. And now you can click these little corners and click and hold them, and they can like move up and down. And now if I want my new house like right here, for example, perfect. I'm gonna reshape it, perfect. I'm gonna go to position, and now you can see, oh, I could arrange this one specific layer by moving it up, down, back. Everything is a layer, or I could just see all the layers here. So every element here you can see is a different layer. Everything from the title, which is here, business strategy. He's behind the image, which is here. So you can see that's why the image is in front. They're layers. So I could take mine. So there's their house. So I could click on this and I could click delete. And now the only thing, but notice how my house is in front. So I need to move my house behind him. So I'm gonna click and drag. And now you can see I added an element, I resized it, and I put it in the right layer in the position on the image. So that's for images here, for example. And you have many different images. You can do photos. So even if I type home, if I click photos, you can see there are many realistic photos here. And cool, fun little fun fact. Then also I want to show you, if I search manager, say I want to find someone like him, for example, but that's an actual photo. I'm going to say this one, for example. He's not as angry, but it really doesn't matter. So I'm just going to take him, just drag that on. There we go. See if we're there. Okay, cool. So I just dragged this image right up here. I want to show you just one little feature right here. It's a nice photo, right? So then you can click background remove right here, and it's going to scan and remove the background image. So you could do this with your photo, for example. So let's say that was his business strategy. So remember layers. So we could go position. We can find the cartoon one, click on the dots, click delete, and we can move him to the right layer, which is behind. So he shows up right there. Nice. We can also modify his image by clicking on it and going to edit. And we have all sorts of special effects that we can do to this image, for example. So say, for example, just very simple, you have Magic Studio, which is effects like background remover, which is what we just did. So that's background remover. And then you have many different ones. You can grab text, you could do magic erase. So if we do magic erase, so if we click on the house and then click magic edit, and then we can click on the brush and just say, yeah, this element right here, click and drag. Cool. Yeah, I want to edit this. Describe your edit. I want a star as a window. Generate. So now it's going to apply that prompt to that purple section there, and it actually just added stars in it. So I'm going to say, yes, take that. That's cool. Done. And then I'll click done. And now we added stars. So we've modified an image using AI. Isn't that's just wild. So we did clip art. We've done images, photos. Let's also do text here. So that's going to be text right here. And then you have H1, H2, H3 basically. This is going to be the easiest. Notice how if I added my brand kit fonts, that will show here. So this is where brand kit actually shows up. The same for like images, or the same for like colors of text. If I click on this and I click on the at symbol, and here you can see I could change the color of the text, like yellow, red. Just clicking on it, this is the color. Notice this is the brand colors. So that's where your brand colors really pop out here, for example, if you want to use your brand colors right there. And then I'm just going to make him white, for example. If you make a mistake or anything, so for example, you could do the undo, 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 redo, 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 redo. Simple. Then we click on the X. So that's changing, and these can just be dragged and dropped. And you could do business strategy. Oh no, I didn't capitalize anything. That's fine. You can go to the three dots here, and you could click on this button right here, which will make everything uppercase. Super fancy, right? And now we're just gonna stretch it by clicking on a corner. I'm gonna go all the way out, and now I'm just gonna match it. So you can see this is impact. So I'm gonna make mine impact by changing the font here. Impact. So now I got impact. Great. Next thing, what else does it have? 121 size font. So I'm gonna click on this and make mine, click on it, 121. Cool. I'm gonna stretch mine out a little. There we go. Nice. he needs to be centered. So if I click and hold, you can kind of see that pink line that just pops in the middle? That's when it snaps and aligns. It has it for left and right. And then notice when I move up and down, there's the middle. So that will be like in the dead center, for example. We're like, okay, cool. Now his font is white. So if I click on this and I go font, his is white. So I'm gonna do white on mine. So click on my text, font, here go white. Oh wait, do you have to here? Click on text color and choose this to choose white. Perfect. Now his looks like he has a shadow. See a little shadow. So that's under effects. We're going to go to effects and see how it's shadow, and we'll notice these settings right here. Let's try and replicate it, and there's the color for it. So if I click on mine, I could go effect, and then I could choose shadow, and then the color of the shadow is going to be black. Okay. And then I'm sure if I tweak these, it can make it a lot better. There we go. So now we can say, yep, my text looks just like the example text using all those different effects right there. And the last is the position. So if I delete his and take mine and move it there, and then I take the layer, remember it's under position and then layers. That's where you're like, I need to drag you below the main character. Perfect. The ultimate business strategy. So now we've replaced images. We've added text. We've stylized it. We've done layers. We've done images. Now the next thing is, here's a pro tip. Let's give this a name here. We're going to go up here. We're going to call this YouTube thumbnail example. I like whenever I want to come back and create my next thumbnail, I'm just going to hit the duplicate button right here. Cool. So when I click on that, now I have two thumbnails. If I click over here, this grid view, I can see, oh, there's my two thumbnails. There's version 1, this is version 2, or this was day 1, this is day 2. That way they're all saved in here. And I have one that's like 300 thumbnails right here, for example. So I'm just going to double click on it. So that's the grid view. And now I could change this to business and change this to secret. Now I'm like, great. Now I have two options, or I could create different ones. Now that I have two different versions right here, if I want to download them, I'm going to click in the upper right hand corner and click on share. Now there's a couple different ways to actually download. So now we're going to click on this download button, and now you could choose the file type. Usually just JPEG is the main thing right there. Crank that quality up a little, and then you can choose, do you want all pages, which will download like a zip file, or do you want just one page at a time? You can unselect and be like, no, I just want page 1, which is the business secret. Or is it page 2, which is going to be the business, the second one, for example, or just all? So I'm going to just click all, for example, and click done, and then click download. And so now it's going to download both of them to my computer. So you can see the status right here. Perfect. Then you can see on my computer, I have the YouTube thumbnails. It was a zip folder. If I double click on it, there's 1 and there's 2. And if I just take both of them and put them in Chrome tab real quick, there's business secret 1. And here's the second one, business strategy. So there's 1 and 2. And remember, we replaced the main character, the house, and the title in both the examples. Nice. Now, since we're here, if I go file, I can make a copy of this whole template here. And this will be a whole different template. But now notice how it says copy. So now I have two folders if I want to keep the original. The next one is really powerful, resize. Say I want to keep some of these templates, but I want to reformat them so they're just a square. So I could do resize, and I could say a custom size, and then here, if you know, 1080 for example, which is just a perfect square. So we're keeping all the assets, we're just changing the canvas size. So 1080 by 1080, yes, do this, and you can redesign this one or copy it and resize. We're going to copy and resize. So that way we don't mess up our original. And then if I open that folder, now we have the ability to do now notice the canvas is a perfect square. We have all our assets. I could click and drag and select one or all as much as I can. So just click and drag, and then now I can select all and just make everything nice and big. Or I could just resize everything to get close enough. It's gonna be a while so before I actually like get that in, but let's say something like that. Cool. So let's say I want to do a presentation. So here under templates, I'll just search presentation, and then I could pick anything. Let's just say if I hover over, you can see 2 of 12. You can see little page numbers right there. I'm going to say just this, for example. This is a good template. Well, you can see other template examples down here, and I'm actually going to pick this one. Looks real nice. Cool. We have our template. You can see all the different pages. So we'll do customize. Nice. So now we have a full presentation. Of course, you could go through and use AI to change the text. Now, AI is not going to actually change the text, but you can use ChatGPT to be like, what is the text for the slides? Just download this, give it the ChatGPT, and say, rewrite the text for it, and it will. Now, notice down below, I have multiple pages. They're all presentations. This is just an entire presentation slide. Notice if I do the grid view, you can see an entire presentation here. Perfect. Now, if I want to give an actual presentation on this, I want to have my notes and record too. So if I'm going to click on the first slide, and down here, I'm going to do notes. And here, I'm going to say, welcome to today's webinar. Now you could have AI, but that's going to cost extra tokens, so I wouldn't do the AI part. You can make it shorter, rewrite it, more fun, but I would just use like open up another tab and just use like ChatGPT on the side to like create the slides or something like that, or GenSpark is the easiest. So let GenSpark or ChatGPT honestly give you the script, but just to show you, that's under notes. Now here, and I'm going to go to the next tab just so you can see here, notes, today's topics, cool. So I have my notes on my slides. So the next thing is if I want to actually give a presentation, so if I have a few options, I could present full screen. I highly recommend if you want to do presenter view, the difference is this one will open up 2 windows. You need to have a second window or monitor in order for presenter view to work. Basically, you can't do it with one screen because 2 screens, and I'll show you too. This one shows you your notes right here, and this one is just what the user sees. So if you have one screen, use presenter view. If you have one screen, use this option. But if you have 2 monitors, then use presenter view, for example. But I'll show you both. So I'm going to do present, full screen, present, and now it's going to go in present mode with all the aesthetics. And then notice my mouse is there. You can remove your mouse, but again, in the other version or the other option, if I click to the right, it goes to the next slide. And this whole presentation, this is just a template that we found. Very fast, very quick, very easy. Now down here below, you can draw on the page by clicking this, and then you could click on the marker down here. You can draw whatever you want, for example, which is super nice. And then when you click, it goes away, which is super nice. And then if you want to open the presenter view, click on that button down there. It's going to ask you, at least on Chrome, like, hey, do you want 2 windows open? I'm like, yeah, allow 2 windows. This is that second option, which brings up presenter view. So this screen is what the audience sees. This is what you see. But in order for this to work, this window right here needs to be on another monitor, like off to the side. So this gets broadcast to the audience, and this is on another monitor that's not shown. Because here you can see what slides are coming up, and then you could also see your notes. So if I go to my first notes here, welcome to today's webinar. Today's topics are, and so this presenter view gives you a lot more options. You can show or hide your cursor as well too. So this is presenter view, and you can see your timer here when you started. So if I close this, so all that, so if you want 2, that's the presenter. If you want 1, that's the present. And if you want to record, you could use Canva to actually record like your screen, for example, for giving a presentation. Just exploring more of the elements of what you can add. You can add shapes. So here you could click see all under elements tab, and then you can see all different types of shapes. And when you add a shape, you can stretch it. You can add text inside of it as well too. You can change the color of it. These will be the colors that are in the document, which is super nice, so that you don't even have to guess what color is it to match, for example. So these are elements. If go back down below, if you scroll down under elements, there's frames. These are really cool because you can add images of yourself, for example, here. So if I take here and I search a headshot for a man, for example, and I take this headshot, let's just take this one, for example, drag and drop. If you take an image and drop it into a frame, see how it snaps inside? Boom, snaps. And then you could double click in it and then like resize it, but that's the smallest. We'll just move it down, something there. And then you can move this wherever you like just by clicking the corners. corners will expand, and then you could always align it up, and it will kind of help you too where you're trying to like line it up. You can see all the little helpful lines that's like, do you want it lined snap there, snap there? So if you go slow, it will kind of snap and give you options to help you line it up correctly, which is super nice. So that's it for presentations. So if I go here and go back to home, now you can see the recent projects that we've been working on with our presentations, our YouTube slides. We basically duplicated this one. This one we changed the aspect ratio. Here we built a presentation here. And when you hover over them, you can star them to find them, make it easier. Again, or you could click the three dots and you can add them to, you could just move it to a folder to make it organized, or you could just move it to the trash, for example. By the way, when you actually click on, let's say you want to make this presentation public, for example. So if you click on a slide, go to share and go down to public link right here, this will create a public link. So public view. So I'm copying this. You can see analytics on visitors who've actually seen this. So click copy. So now if I open incognito mode and paste that URL, now we get our presentation fancy on the web, and you don't even have to log in to Canva. This is public on the web right now, just for testing. So this whole thing was put up. It's a public URL. They don't need to log into Canva. And this is now how you could take your presentation, your slide, your image, whatever you want, and make it a public link right here. And then when you're done, you can click the three dots, click delete, and this will delete the public link. And now it's private. There's a lot more that Canva offers, but this is just an introduction just to get you started with all the main features, enough to get dangerous. Highly recommend using the templates because that's going to get you a quick start in whatever you're trying to create too. And have fun with Canva too. In future courses, we're going to go deep down the automation and other powerful tools that Canva offers. If you want to make sure you don't get replaced by someone with AI skills, this is just one of 27 courses that we have inside the AI community. We covered 27 of the best AI tools out there. We also meet 5 days a week. I know it says 3 and 24 there. We've actually been adding more stuff for more members, so that's why it's a little outdated. But yeah, 5 days a week, live events, Q&A, live classes, up-to-date info on the best tools, so that you know exactly how to leverage AI for your business and for your work and your personal life. We also will have the ability to earn AI certificates. We have templates, roadmaps, and tech support to help you stay up to date and take full advantage of all the best AI tools. Everything inside the AI Business Mastermind. Link in bio to join.